The following podcast is a production of Radio Felician, the voice of Felician University of New Jersey and the home of alternative rock done right. Available via iHeartRadio, TuneIn, the Radio Felician app, and at radiofelician.com.
Radio Felician University.
Welcome to The Felician Lantern, shining a light on everything nursing. A podcast from Felician University in New Jersey, exploring current issues in healthcare, speaking to leaders in the field, and preparing the next generation of nurses. Your hosts are Dr. Daria Wazak and Dr. Elizabeth Van Dyke, Associate Deans of the Felician University School of Nursing.
Welcome to the Felician Lantern. I'm Daria.
And I'm Liz.
This podcast delves into the topic of student leadership. How to be a leader, and what ways does it help? And what qualities do you need or take away from a student leadership role? We are here with two exemplary students who have stepped up as leaders in their respective programs, one from pre-licensure and one from graduate. I have Katie Valenza and Carrie DeZamba. Katie, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Katie Valenza. I'm one of the BSN students. I'm a senior and I'll be graduating in May. And I recently have just been hired to the Atlantic Health New Hire Program, and I'm scheduled to start in July.
And Carrie.
My name is Carrie DeZamba, and I am in the master's program pursuing a family nurse practitioner role. I am graduating in 2 years, which feels like forever, but I'm sure it'll fly by. I currently work as a nurse with Summit Health. I assist breast radiologists with breast biopsies.
So I just wanted to say before we get started how excited I am for this podcast to really highlight the best of the best and to highlight what you all do for the School of Nursing and within the School of Nursing and for the profession of nursing in general. So I've really been looking forward to this discussion and this podcast to kind of get a little bit more insight as to what makes you tick and what makes you want to go above and beyond and really exemplify leadership qualities. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And speaking of what makes you tick, Katie, what led you to the nursing profession and what led you to Felician?
So what led me to the nursing profession is when I was younger, I spent a lot of time helping out and taking care of my uncle, who's a quadriplegic. And so I would love helping him get ready and giving him his medications and things like that. And from there, I started doing volunteer activities like Life Rolls On. And Life Rolls On is where you help paralyzed patients learn how to surf. And ever since then, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then I started doing my applications for schools and nursing, of course. And I came here and I saw the simulation lab and I was just like, okay, this is the school. They told me that one mannequin can give birth. And I was like, wow.
That's amazing. I know. That's a really cool.
Exactly. And then now they have mannequins that sweat and have heart attacks. I'm like, wow.
When they blink, it does get a little bit creepy, but it is pretty lifelike, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carrie, what inspired you to become a nurse practitioner, going above the entry level into nursing?
I would say, at the root of it is definitely a desire for a greater sense of autonomy. I found myself wanting to do more for my patients, to have a greater say in their plan of care, and kind of just wanted to be the boss. So shy of going back to med school, I decided to be a nurse practitioner because I love nursing and I just wanted to take it to that next level and really just be more involved.
Independent practice.
Yes.
Katie, let's talk about all the ways you've been a leader here at Felician Nursing. There's been a few ways. Tell us about that.
So I think it all started when I became a board member for the SNA. I became a board member. I was always a part of the SNA since I started freshman year, but I really stepped into a board member position probably right after COVID. And I want to say that's where I started becoming a student leader for nursing, because I started speaking at the open houses and the white coating ceremonies, and the students actually would remember me and they'd come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I see what you're doing. How can I start speaking at things? So I'd try to explain to them and tell them become a board member, join the SNA.
And when you say SNA, Student Nursing Association.
Yes, the Student Nursing Association. And then I feel like that's really how everything started. We'd put on events, and then you'd have more students come out. And I think it's good. The SNA is a great thing because before the SNA was like not as active, and most nursing students didn't really know each other. I know before I started, like I kind of kept to myself because I was like nursing's very intense, and I know that everybody's very stressed, and I wouldn't want my stress to wear off on anybody else, and vice versa. But then I was like, you know what? It's time to start getting involved with everything, and that's really changed my whole nursing career.
And I guess post-COVID as well, you really, we went kind of from being kind of cocooned in, and what a great opportunity to start at that level and just be able to make your mark at like the perfect time for the Student Nursing Association for Felician. So that's amazing.
Yes, it's been such an honor. Thank you.
This is the Felician Lantern, shining a light on everything nursing.
So, Carrie, we just wanted to know the same kind of ideals. What has inspired you to become a leader in graduate nursing?
Yeah, so I would say this role as a leader in student community is kind of new for me, and I've really embraced it as a graduate student. I'm the student liaison for Felician's chapter of the Graduate Nursing Student Academy, or the GNSA for short. I'm also a graduate assistant, so I tutor undergraduate students at Felician, undergraduate nursing students particularly. So I've just kind of learned to just say yes to opportunities, and I'm loving getting more involved. It's great.
Okay, we have another question for you both. Just thinking about what skills are conducive to success as a nurse leader, and what do you think those skills are, and how has nursing school transitioned your leadership abilities? Let's start with Katie.
So I'm going to say a very good skill to have is time management, especially when you're juggling things like outside jobs, sports, nursing, because it takes a lot of your time. But in order to be able to do all that, you need to make sure your work's done. So I'm going to say that. And then also, like Carrie said before, you need to get out of your comfort zone and say yes. Even if you feel uncomfortable doing it, afterwards it's like, oh, I did it and I can do it again. So I think those are very important skills, and it will definitely help me later on in my nursing career, because if somebody asked me, if they'd be like, oh, do you want to try and lecture? I'd be like, absolutely. I've done it at Felician.
Just pushing yourself to that slightly uncomfortable point and then growing from that.
Yes, you definitely end up growing from it.
Carrie, what about you?
Katie, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, just to reiterate, definitely a willingness to say yes to opportunities, whether it's volunteering or participating in an event on campus. That's going to translate when you're out there in the field, because you're going to be that nurse that people look to, because they know, okay, Katie, Carrie, you say yes to things. You're always the first to jump in and help. You're always the first to want to see a new procedure or learn more, grow more as a nurse. And I think that also goes hand in hand with a desire to continue to learn, because there's so much to nursing, and the field is rapidly changing. So never just always finding that passion to keep learning and to just grow in your skills, because there's always more to learn.
It's seems like the pathways always just seem to open up in front of you, but you also go out and look for them as well. You look to make opportunities out of things. So I think that's really exemplary of both of you to do that and to tap into that. So Katie, just to kind of change the topic just a bit, another one of your many hats is a RA, a resident assistant. So can you give us a little bit of insight into that? Because I don't think there are very many nursing students that serve in that role, in that capacity. So can you give us a little bit of an insight as to what that's like at Felician?
Yes, so being a resident assistant, you have many roles, but one of the biggest ones is to build a sense of community with all students, which also goes into nursing, because a lot of your residents will be nursing students. And our job is to make sure that everyone feels safe in their living space and everything like that. But with Res Life, it teaches you a ton of things that you're going to see later on in nursing. They'll teach you anywhere from time management to you'll see students that have anxiety that you're going to work with, students that kind of just need someone to listen to them And the same thing goes with your patients. And you start being able to connect your clinicals with residents' life. So I highly recommend that if you have time and you want to branch out, then I would definitely become a resident assistant.
What kind of challenges have you faced as an RA?
So there have definitely been a lot of challenges, especially...
You don't have to spill the beans.
Especially like when I first started. But I would say one of the biggest challenges is when you'll be waking up very early in the morning and you'll have students coming to your door and you just woke up. You don't even know where you are. And they're crying, being like, oh my gosh, something happened. And you have to, like, at that very second, you need to put like that game face on and be like, no, like everything's gonna be okay. Like try and talk them down to really understand what's going on. Because when some of these students come to you, they're scared. They don't know what's going on. They're crying and they're trying to relay that message to you. But I just have to be like, okay, like I'm in my room. It's just a student. There's an issue. We're going to be able to deal with that. And as I've gotten older and this is my 4th year doing it, I'm a lot more comfortable and I understand like where we need to go from there.
Good lessons for nursing as well.
Very good lesson. Yes, it has helped a lot.
Do you have a particular memory that you'd like to share looking back at your 4 years as RA?
My favorite memory. I'm going to have to say, recently I just had a boss leave and we actually had a big party and we really bonded as a staff. Like I'm going to say this is the best staff that I've had in all my years. We all just really get along and we had food and like all that stuff. And then at the end we went into Ed Commons and it has like a stage there and we did karaoke. And it was so fun. Like I would love to do that again.
You're listening to the Felician Lantern, shining a light on everything nursing.
Carrie, in addition to serving as a GNSA liaison, you mentioned your GA helping tutor our undergraduate nursing students. Can you think about one of those roles and share a memory that's particularly meaningful or a student perhaps you're helping that you want to share something about that?
Sure. I love being a graduate assistant. It's a great opportunity to help see the undergrads grow and learn and help put real world applications to classroom learning from my own personal experience. And I also love that I get to learn with them because, for example, I tutored for OB last semester and I've never worked in OB. So it was a really good refresher for me because I know that's something that I'm going to need moving forward. I would say there's 2 kind of positive stories that come to mind that happened recently. First, I love getting emails from students when they tell me that they did really well on an exam and are really grateful for the tutoring sessions. That makes me feel really good about myself and makes me feel like, all right, I'm doing something right here. I also recently it just happened to be a smaller tutoring session, so I only had 2 students come. And it just seemed like the smaller environment made them feel a little bit more comfortable to ask questions about life as a nurse and just kind of go beyond what's happening in the classroom right now, because I think there is something to be said for knowing what's coming next, especially when things get hard, just remembering, there's a light at the end of the tunnel and you can get through this. And that just made me feel more connected to them as well. So
that's great work. And I know you are highly valued as a tutor, and I know they definitely appreciate what you do. So thank you for that. So Katie, what lies ahead for you? You had mentioned before Atlantic Health hired you.
Yes.
So we're coming into the last hurrah, the final step of this season of your life. And what lies forward in the next season of your life?
So I'm so excited. So the next thing is I'm going to start working at Atlantic Health. They offered me a position starting in July. I've also submitted my application for the NP school here. And I have been offered the GA position for MedSurg to start tutoring all the undergrads. So that's what lies ahead. And I am so excited. I cannot wait.
We can't wait to have you and graduate.
Thank you.
So, Carrie, what lies ahead for you? I know you have a little bit more to go as far as this season of your education, but it seems like you've made such an impact so far. I can only imagine what lies ahead for you. So, where do you envision yourself in the next 2 years?
Continuing to get involved, saying yes to the opportunities. I'm going to say that until the cows come home, and ultimately working somewhere in primary care. I would love to work in gender-affirming healthcare. That's my passion. That's what I love. So I'm also open to it changing because you never know. Life has a funny way of showing you what you need and not always what you want. So I'm excited for the next 2 years and beyond.
Thank you so much for joining our podcast today, and I'm hopeful that your words will be inspiring to other nursing students or nursing professionals out there in our community. I believe that, as you've explained, that saying yes and trying new pathways just leads to another pathway, which leads to another pathway, and it'll just carry on through your career and lead to only but exciting things for your futures. Thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for having me. And Katie.
This podcast has been a production of Radio Felician, the voice of the Franciscan University of New Jersey. Visit us anytime at radiofelician.com. Want to send an email? Reach out at radiostation@felician.edu. Radio Felician, the Falcon.